So sorry for that again, but let's quickly move. We need to quickly move. So we will share now. Okay, so the next lecture is going to be essay now, writing essays. Now, okay, I was going to say that this, if you look into your link, your book, the material I've given you, you come across these books. All right. There's English language for utterly confused. For the utterly confused. Please read that. There's one for basic punctuations. Maybe I should even do that here. I'm going to send it to you on WhatsApp now. I want you to pay attention and read up on those. Read up those books. Make sure that you do well reading them. So, okay. Okay. WhatsApp is good. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So let's just move on. I'm going to send those to you in due time as soon as the something comes up. So we want to talk about writing argumentative essay. All right. So now we have there are different types of argumentative essay. There are different types, but we want to concern ourselves with tasks. There are different types of essay, but we want to concern ourselves with the argumentative essay. But before then, let's quickly do a breakdown of the types of essay that there are. You have argumentative or opinion essay. So here you are expected to argue out a particular stance or point. This is argumentative or opinion essay. You're expected to argue out a particular stance or point. Now, the opinion essay or argumentative essay has about 5 varieties, and that's what we're going to be looking at now. The first one is this A, which is in itself opinion essay 2. It's called opinion essay. So the question typically looks like, what do you think? What is your opinion? Typically, you have a kind of question instruction that says, what do you think? Or what is your opinion? So let's look at this typical example. This sentence, this question says, some people believe that it's better to introduce children to foreign languages in elementary school, while others believe it should be in secondary school. Then it says, what is your opinion? So when it says, what is your opinion? You're typically talking about opinion essay, this one. All right. So then there's this other one which the question instructions is asking you to say whether you agree or disagree. Now, again, please be free to bring me back to anything you think might be unclear to you. So it says agree or disagree. The best time to introduce foreign language to children is in the elementary school and not the secondary school. Do you agree or disagree? You find out that it is this, there is a difference in the way the questions have been coined. There's a difference in the way the questions have been coined. So some people believe that it's better to introduce children to foreign language in elementary school, while others believe it should be in secondary school. But here, the best time to introduce foreign language to children is in elementary school and not secondary school. You'll find out that it's just like, it's more like one-sided, though in that one side, in submitting one side, they have another point or another side. So it says, do you agree or disagree? So you have to tell us whether you agree or disagree, as time goes on. So there is also the type that asks you to show whether to what extent do you agree or disagree? There's that type that's asked you to show to what extent you agree or disagree. Now, this side, whenever they ask you to say the extent to which you agree or disagree, you need to understand that this side has about four possible stances. There are four possible stances that this aspect has. This aspect has four possible stances. Now, in this stance, okay, in this stance, you need to understand that um, if they ask you to choose one of the four possible stances, you need to understand the fact that these stances I usually make students stay away from this one, this stance, and this other one. That's this one, and it has this one. I usually make my students stay away from agree to some extent, disagree to some extent. And I want them to stay on the extreme. So you have agree to a large extent, that's totally agree. Disagree to a large extent, totally agree or absolutely agree. Anything that means completely, absolutely is okay. Then there is agree to some extent and disagree to some extent. To some extent, which means that you have to talk about the two sides. That's what it means when you say to some extent. And there are sometimes people make a mess of that kind of essay. So sometimes or most of the time, I tell my students to stay away from to some extent. Just stay on the extreme, either agree to a large extent or disagree to a large extent. So the best time, for example, the best time to introduce foreign language to children in the elementary school and not the best time to introduce foreign children is in the elementary school and not the secondary school. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So that is that. So if you take my advice, nice to stay on the extreme. Don't stay in between. Don't go agree to some extent. No. Are you advised to go disagree to some extent? Just stay on the two extremes, in either of the two extremes. So you have, is it a positive or negative development? Now, for example, you have this question. It has been observed that many stores are closing down due to the emergence of online stores. Is this a positive or negative development? So the question is asking you that a particular trend is a particular trend or happening or trend or event or happening, is that particular happening a positive or negative development? So here you find out that all this we're talking about are one-sided essays. So there's another one that says, now this D has a variety, has a variant, okay? Has a variant. Now the variant is to the positive of this and what is that the negative. So you could still have this same question. Let's say it has been observed that many stores are closing down due to the emergence of online stores. Do the positive of these outweigh the negative? So you could still have that, and that's what I express here. It has been observed that many stores are closing down due to the emergence of online store. Do the negative of this outweigh the positive of this outweigh the negative? So that's a particular variant of the positive or negative development. That's a particular variant, just like you have agree to what extent do you agree or disagree can be seen as a variant of agree or disagree. Okay, so here you find out that either to up until D, this one, up until this one, you're having to stay on one side. One side here, stay on one side here because of the operative word. This word is very operative. Or let me even underline it. It says, okay, on the line I went. It says or, which means that you are meant to stay on one side. Whenever the question is saying using the word or, it means that you should stay on one side. You can't write the two together. However, here Okay, the same thing goes advantages or disadvantages. You have to stay on one side. For the variance of D and E, the variance of D and E are quite, are quite different. They are not the stay on one side, type. The type that they are is that you touch on the other side, despite the fact that the side is not the one you want to go for. That's this one. Do the positive outweigh the negative? And do the advantages outweigh the negative? Those second variants, this one and this one, means that you talk about this other side also. Meanwhile, there is a side that you really would prefer to go for. I hope you understand. If you don't understand, please, this is the time you need to raise your hand so that I can explain a little bit more. He says it is okay. Yes, please.
Please, I don't understand.
Okay, but you understand up to the point where we say or is one-sided. You understand that?
Is it a positive or negative? You can start from there.
Okay. Now the idea is that all the way from the beginning, from opinion essay, we have said it is one-sided. One-sided. All essays under opinion essay is one-sided. Argumentative essay, here is saying, what is your opinion? You could also take opinion where that is in between, but I'm of the opinion, stay on the extreme so that you don't make a mess of it. Disagree, agree or disagree is one-sided. To what extent do you agree is what-sided? I hope you understand all those. Also,
I do.
Is it a positive or negative development is also one-sided. That means to say you are meant to pick one. You're not expected to touch on the other side. It's not as if you can't touch on the other side, but you are going to have to talk down on the other side in order to favor the side that you favor. In other words, so you talk down on the other side. Like I have two people, A and B. If I want to show reasons why A is my favorite, I'm going to have to give you the merits of A and also give you the demerits of B, which will in turn, add to the merits of A. So that is that. All right. But here, whenever they say does one outweigh the other, there is a subtle, very subtle thing that is being suggested to you. They are saying we acknowledge that the two exist, so you also must acknowledge that the two exist. That is what these two is talking about. Whenever they say the word outweigh, means the two is there, or which one weighs more, or which one is higher, or which one is better. I hope you understand now. So in that case, you are going to have to tell us, okay, which one is more. You are going to acknowledge the both, but you tell us which one is more. And in most of the time, acknowledging the both means that you use a concessional sentence. Concessional is although. So if I want to say it has been observed that many stores are closing down due to the emergence of online stores. So do the positive of these outweigh the negative? So if I want to say the negative outweigh the positive, the negative, I'm saying the negative outweigh the positive. The negative outweigh the positive, which means that the negative effects of online stores closing, physical stores closing down because of online stores is higher than the positive. So I'm going to have to talk about positive, then overshadow the negative. So I'm saying, although online stores come with the ease of home delivery, all right, it has also brought about a destruction in the local economy of individuals. So I have brought in an although construction. So I'm touching on the side that is lesser but I'm going to have to develop the essays to show that the side that I feel is higher is actually higher in my development. I'm going to use my development to show that that is actually higher. I hope you understand, Ms. Perez now.
Yes, I do. Thank you.
So any other person who needs that to be cleared out? Okay. Please, if you are still trying to reach out to me, please go ahead, but I'll have to go on. You can interrupt my lecture while if you have any question. So the same thing goes with do advantages outweigh disadvantages. It has been observed that many stores are closing down due to so the advantages of these outweigh the disadvantages. Okay, so those are the question types that there are. So let me quickly say that we would have taken permission from the next class that would for us to go all the way to, let's say, 9:30. I'm supposed to have another one for 9:30 and 9 o'clock, but I've taken permission from her so that we can go for 9:30 till 9:30. So I'm sorry for the break in transmission the other time. We just basically go, so we have less than an hour, maybe around 5 minutes more, so that we'll be able to do something quite substantive today. So moving on, okay, I was saying that I was going to share some materials with you, although those materials are in your online what's it called, book, the online material that I on my Google Drive, but I'm going to share those material with you here. So okay, so I go from okay. Let me just attach them. Document, okay, let's go document. So I think send them now. You should start getting delivery of them on your phones. Now, so let's move on with the others. Please, those documents I'm sharing, they will in no small measure add to your knowledge of English language, basics in English language, and also writing and several other other stuff that you need to listen. So do your due diligence to read the notes. If there are any gray areas where you might be confused with my teaching, kindly let me know. Then we'll do some explanations if necessary, and we'll do some clarification if that's what you need in your case. So let's move on. We want to quickly go through the writing task. Okay. Now, typically I would have asked us to write an opinion essay, then bring that in, but we've already wasted enough time today, so I will need to move on. So let's want to take, okay. We're not done with that yet. We're not done yet. So that is all about opinion essay and their variation and its variation. So, but we have another type, question type 2. Question type 1 is opinion essay, but it has several variations. So those are the variations we have seen. And some of those variations have their own variations. So, but we have type 2 here, which is discuss both views and give your opinion. Discuss both views and give your opinion. So some people, here is a typical question. Some people believe that it's better to introduce children to foreign language in elementary school, while others believe it should be in the secondary school. So, and they ask you to discuss both views and give your opinion. Discuss both views and give your opinion. If you have seen that question before, what it means is that you should discuss view 1 after your introduction, discuss view 2, and then give your opinion, which means that you will talk about why you believe it is better to introduce children to foreign language in secondary school, in elementary school, in your second paragraph of the essay. Then you should give us reasons why you believe that children should be introduced to foreign language in secondary school in the third paragraph of the essay. Before third paragraph, then in the fourth paragraph, you are meant to give your opinion, because that's what they say you should do. Discuss both views, view 1, view 2, then give your opinion letter before you give your conclusion. So I hope you understand that. I'm just giving you the breakdown. We go into a detailed explanation of how we should go. So I hope you understand. If you have any question or it is not clear, feel free to interject. So then you have that one too has its own variation, and its own variation is where they ask us to discuss both views alone without having to talk about the own view. We just ask you to discuss both views without discussing your own opinion. So then we have number 3, which says you should discuss a particular problem and then give solutions. So then this is a typical question. Okay, the typical question says, recently there has been an increase in the incidences of teenage crimes. What are the reasons for this and preferred ways of reducing this menace? What are the reasons for this and preferred ways of reducing this menace? What are the reasons for this and preferred ways of reducing menace? So you find out that asking to discuss the reason why a problem exists and then give solution to that problem. And so we have that in number 3. We discuss the reason and corresponding solution, reasons, corresponding solution, reason, corresponding solution. So number 4, I hope you understand that. And again, if you have any reason for me to explain, feel free to interject my lecture to cut in as I speak. So advantages and disadvantages. Here, it asks us to show the advantages and disadvantages. The operative word here is and. The previous one you saw is all. So it is advantages or disadvantages. But here, it is both. You have to discuss the both. And I've always told my students to pay attention to pluralization. If IELTS is pluralizing your question, please make sure your point or your response is in plural. Your responses to your question is that you are putting the plural stuff there. So it has been observed that many stores are closing down due to the emergence of online stores. What are the advantages and disadvantages of this? So they are saying, give us 2 at least advantages and 2 disadvantages at least. So most of the time, people don't pay attention to the fact that your answers are in plural. And so they go ahead to give IELTS 1 advantage because they don't understand. And in that case, they will score low on what IELTS call task achievement. They have not been able to achieve the task. It is very, very important that you achieve your task. Now, let me say this. There is also a type of essay that is called hybrid or multiple choice essay. Most of the time, it could have 2 or 3 question elements. It could have 2 or 3 question elements. Now, what do I mean by 2 or 3 question elements? Now, sometimes you find out that what the question they ask you is actually more than 1 element. So now let's quickly go back to our previous discussion. If they say, what is your opinion? Or they say, if the question says, what is your opinion? Or what do you think? Those are question elements. This is a question element on its own. This is another question element on its own. So agree or disagree is a question element on its own. Positive or negative development is a question element on its own. Does the positive outweigh the negative is a question element on its own. advantages or disadvantages, a question element on its own. Do the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, a question element on its own. Discuss both views and give your opinion is a question element. Discuss a problem is a question element. Give solution is a different question element. You know, advantages and disadvantages is a different question element. So you can have any of these breakdowns. You can have 2 question elements from the previous or 3 question elements from the previous coming together under this. That's why I call it hybrid. But most other people call it multiple question essay. I call it hybrid because of it is an hybridization or bringing together of 2 or 3 question elements. So that's why it is called hybrid. You know, hybrid cars sometimes can use fuel and can also use other alternative energy source. Can use fuel and can use solar. Can use solar and can use let's say a gas. So, and there are some hybrid, the ones that are available in Nigeria can use fuel and can use electricity. The electricity produced in the working of the mechanics, the working of the engine also goes back to feed to propel the vehicle as fuel. So in that case, you have dual purpose, a dual source of fueling or power to the vehicle, which is what's it called, fuel, and also either of solar or electric fueling or power. So that is hybrid. So you could have any aspect coming at you. So let's say a typical question, it says the best method of housing is apartments. Then it says, do you agree or disagree? First question. Then it goes on to ask you, what other methods of housing do you think exist? Then then the third one, do you think the future will bring in some other types of accommodation? So you have 3 questions here. Here is agree or disagree, opinion essay. Opinion, asking whether you agree or disagree. Here is asking what other method. I think that comes in under solution. What other method comes in under solution? And here it also asks you, do you think the future will bring in some other opinion types of accommodation? It's also asking for your opinion. So in that case, you have an hybrid paragraph. Now here, if you have 2 paragraph, 2 question elements, it means you have 2 body of the essay paragraph, which means introduction, 2 body of the essay paragraph, and conclusion. That makes 4. But if you have 3 question elements, it's always very neat. You've seen clear paragraphing as one of the things that they are expecting. So it's always very neat for you to clearly state and write or develop each point in a separate and different paragraph. The same thing goes for discuss both views and give your opinion. View 1, paragraph 1 of the body of the essay. View 2, paragraph 2 of the body of the essay. Your own opinion, paragraph 3 of the body of the essay, and that's it. So that those are the only 2 places here where you have to hear one, and here where you have 2 question elements are the only places where you are likely or you can write what do I want to call it now? You can write 2 3 body of the essay paragraph, in which case 5 paragraphs. Discuss both views, 1, and this place where you have 3 question elements, you can write 5 paragraphs, and that is okay. So before we log off and log in again, do you have any question that might need a clarification? Yes, please. Please raise your hand. Please unmute your mic and let's have your question.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, actually, I don't have any question yet, but I don't know.
But what? Hello?
I
can't hear you.
I said came in late, so although I don't even understand any of the class anyway, but you will give me the YouTube link so that I will be able to go through it. I will go back and check, refresh on it.
Definitely. All right. So thank you very much for that.
Okay,
So we
because
are
I'm
going to
even lost.
sorry, you will
All
fine.
right.
So we'll log out now, and please let's come back online. Thank you very much.
Okay.